Well, g'day, curd nerds. G'day, curd nerds. Well, 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 g'day, curd nerds. Welcome back. This is Ask the Cheeseman, and it's episode 189. We're getting towards the 200s. That's fantastic. Big shout out today to new patron Eric. Thank you, Eric, for your financial support. And to Judy Menge. Thank you, Judy, on YouTube memberships. And thank you, one and all, to all members, all financial members and patrons on those two platforms. We should very soon have Kim in the chat, who will be moderating today. However, YouTube have some new features. I think I mentioned them last week, where you can filter the chat based on subscribers only that have been subscribers for 1 hour, at least 1 hour. So usually that'll cut down a little bit of the riffraff that sometimes happens in the chat. Anyway, Kim's going to be available for links. There she is. She's in the chat, which is great. Before we start, I forgot to tell you who I am. I'm Gavin Webber. I'm the chief curd nerd around here. And we are live on YouTube under Gavin Webber, my channel, where you're watching probably now. Facebook, Cheeseman TV, and Twitch, which is also Gavin Webber. Alrighty. I don't know how many people are on those other platforms. It doesn't really tell me, but it doesn't matter. Hopefully you're all watching and enjoying the show. Okay. A big shout out this morning before we start all the other gumph. G'day. First cab off the rank was Liana. G'day, Liana. How are you? We got Gotcha. G'day, Gotcha. Manel, Annette, Nicola, Judy. We got Patricia, Wendy PJ, Cease, Camp Creek Hill, Robert M. G'day, mate. How are you? I think I've got some of your photos in the gallery. Bruce, g'day, Bruce. Charlie, hello, Charlie. David, g'day, David. And Heidi. And Murad, g'day, mate. And something dies, not sure. Lindsay, g'day. How are you, Lindsay? Kim, of course, who I just mentioned. Zarbinks, nice. From Qatar, lovely. Got fans everywhere. It's great. Robert, g'day, Robert. How are you? Got Messiah, I think that's how you say it. The chairman, Bill. Bill, I got your photos as well. Thanks, mate. Vonda, I've got Anne. Yeah, Anne. Right Proper Charlie. And Three Voyages Homestead. Nelia. Rockwood Zapper. Who else? That's it. Nelia. That is it. That'll do. All right. So, and thank you to everybody turning up. Oh, and we got Monkey Monk. Nice. Okay. So straight after the live stream today, we've got a premiere. So it's a cheese called Sour Georgie, which is from it's from the Azores in the Atlantic. So that those who are on the YouTube channel watching it there, you'll be automatically moved over to, or asked to go and watch, if you want to, the Sour Georgie video. So hopefully that'll all work properly. At 30 minutes past the hour, we're going to have the gallery with some fantastic photos in the gallery today of all your home cheesy creations. And don't forget, of course, if you want to learn more, you can pop over to the Curd Nerd Academy over at littlegreenworkshops.com, and you'll go to our Teachable page, which has our Curd Nerd Academy beginners course, which will help all of you out if you haven't already done so. And I think a few people in the chat have already done that course. Anyway, let's get on to some questions today. First question is from Liana. Liana says, my first quick mozzarella had clear whey and was perfect. My second one gave an opaque Milky Way. After a night in liquid in the fridge, it was coated with white milky go, and I had a lower yield. Yeah, more rennet, I would think. That is usually the trick with quick mozzarella. A little bit of a pain, and sometimes can be difficult to replicate. But yeah, if I don't know if the milk's changed or whatever, there's so many variables with quick mozzarella. You've just got to be able to. What I do, I actually test the milk now after I've added the citric acid to make sure that I've got the pH right down to at least 5.3, and then I can start the process, add the rennet, and away we go. So, yeah, I think that might be the issue. If you get cloudy whey, then there's not enough rennet added for quick mozzarella. But hope that helps, Liana. Okay. Mercia says, finally excited to get to the stream. Oh, we've got our first super chat today. Someone's on the ball. I'll just get rid of that, and we'll find out who it was. And there's no message, or is there? There is a message. Yeah, there is a message. The super chat was from Roger. Thank you, Roger. Appreciate your $5 super chat. I think there's a question. Here's the question. My first and only Limburger was not very stinky, even though I doctored the brine wash with the bacteria, but was delicious and yellow. Thanks for the recipe. No problems at all, Robert. Just add a little bit more Brevibacteria linens into the milk when you first start, and you'll find you get a more successful bloom. Sometimes, to help prepare the surface of the cheese, cheesemakers used a tiny little bit of Geotrichum candidum, which actually prepares the surface of the cheese so that the Brevibacteria red mold, not slime, what's the word I'm looking for? Smear, that's the word, smear, can go all over the cheese. So sometimes a little, if you have that trouble again, add a little bit of Geo. Even though you'll get some spots of white mold, when you wash, it doesn't matter because they wash straight off. And you'll find that the orange or red smear comes on a lot better. So I hope that helps. Okay, so thank you so much. Next question is from, not a question, more of a statement. Hang on, I got a frog in my throat. Oh, goodness me. Oh, come on, coffee, do your magic. Sorry about that. This one's from Anne, and Anne says, hello from Bellingham, Washington State, I think. I'm making buttermilk blue whilst watching this. Great cheese, great blue cheese, very creamy. Creamiest ones I've had. And it actually, afterwards, it stores quite well in vac pack, even though it goes a little bit mushy, but the cheese is absolutely fantastic. Next question is from Neela says, no, not the right pronunciation. Sorry about that. I never. Proper right, Charlie says, can you call me a curd nerd? Charlie, you're a curd nerd. All right. Liana says, does raw, low temperature, long hold milk need calcium chloride? Let me think. Now, you have heat treated it slightly, not as brutal as what commercial pasteurization does. But yes, I would still add a little bit of calcium chloride. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't change the flavor per se of the cheese. It's just going to guarantee, nothing's guaranteed in the cheese making world. It's going to help assist with a firm curd set. But you can try it with and without, but really wouldn't want to waste a batch of lovely raw milk. And also, depending on what cheese you want to make, if you want to make a hard cheese that's aged over 60 days and the curd is cooked at least, I think it's over 48 degrees Celsius and aged for 60 days at 10 degrees Celsius, then according to the Australian food standards, you're right as rain. But and use raw milk without pasteurization, probably get more complex flavors as well. In fact, not probably, you will. So, okay. Next question is from Heidi, and Heidi says, I ordered a few items from you, Gavin, on the 10th of September. They were literally Just delivered a couple of minutes ago here in Texas. Super fast. Thanks, Heidi. Appreciate it. And thanks for ordering from the store. For those who want to, we do ship, ship to the US, Canada, New Zealand, some Asian countries that are having a decent postal service now because of COVID. And if you want to pick up any cheese making supplies, you can pop over to littlegreenworkshops.com.au. That's the store that Kim and I run, and we ship cheese making supplies all over the place. And funny you should say that, Heidi, because we're actually struggling here in Australia because Melbourne and just Melbourne and Sydney, two of the biggest cities in Australia, are still in lockdown until the vaccination rates get up, and then they're going to just fully open them up. We're actually struggling. There's so many parcels or cheese orders and soap and all that other stuff that we sell. Orders are taking up to sometimes even more than 3 weeks from Melbourne to Sydney. So it's just crazy. Anyway, we've got another super chat there. I'll just kill the light. And this one is from, here we go. This is from Chiba. I think that's how you say it. Chiba. Yep. Says, thanks for your $5 super chat, by the way. Howdy, Gavin. Fairly new to cheese making. So far, I've only made fresh cheese like ricotta, mozzarella, and paneer. What would you recommend as the next step? Oh, Kimmy's got some some lovely links. So the link to the beginner's cheese video, Kim, without a fridge, and that'll really help out. So the next one I would recommend would probably be, and you've done some basic ones there, which is good, would be halloumi. Halloumi's a Cypriot frying cheese. Delicious, absolutely beautiful. What else? What would be the next one? Feta is a good one. A little bit tricky sometimes to get crumbly feta, but you've got to have the pH level quite low, down to about 4.3 pH. So a little bit of an issue. What else? There is let me think. What else? A bel paese is another good one to start with. You only need a kitchen fridge. And so there's 3 recommendations anyway, Chiba. Thank you very much. Now, it says my health stream is a little bit low. Don't know what's going on there. Hang on, I'll just check, make sure. Oh, okay. Somebody's been playing around with settings. Let's have a look. Oh, I can't change the settings. Even worse. Yeah, so one thing I didn't check before we started was the stream settings. It looks like it's a bit low today. It's not in 1080p. So sorry if the stream quality is not as good as what it used to be last week, but yeah, the resolution's not as good as it should be. Anyway, sorry about that, but moving right along, let's have a look. I do have some more questions here that people have. Camp Creek Hill says, have tried to make whey ricotta from cheddar whey and ricotta curds would not separate whey. Any ideas? Yeah, with whey ricotta, if the whey is cloudy, then you'll get some ricotta. But I always add a liter of milk into the whey to increase the yield. You'll get a minuscule yield with something like 6 liters of whey, hardly any at all. Always add a little bit of milk to add a bit of body to it. If your whey is fairly clear, you're going to get nothing. There'll be nothing to speak of as far as ricotta curds go. So that's the trick there. And if in doubt, add a little bit more acid at a time if it is cloudy and not separating. But you do have to leave it for a while. After you've added the acid, and the whey's cloudy, the curds will float to the top usually. Okay, another question. This one's from Three Voyages Homestead. What is the mesophilic example number MO11 cultures would you recommend as a beginner? As a beginner, there's simple, depends on where you are. If you're in the US, New England Cheesemaking Supplies, they have a, what is it? C101, I think, is their basic mesophilic. The basic mesophilic has 2 starter cultures in it that you are looking for. The first one is Lactobacillus lactis subspecies lactis, and the other one is Lactobacillus lactis subspecies cremoris. So those 2 bacteria are your basic mesophilic, and you'll find lots of companies have those 2 strains in a direct vat inoculated form, the powder that you can just add straight to the milk. So the ones I use are there's a Mad Millie mesophilic, which has those 2 in it, called it's called Mesophilic Culture. It's on our website. Also Sacco MO30. I think MA11 is another one by Danisco. Choose it. But yeah, there's so many different companies that make cheese cultures, but just look for those 2. Lactobacillus lactis subspecies lactis and Lactobacillus lactis subspecies cremoris. They're the 2 basic mesophilics. Where I say in my cheese recipe use a mesophilic culture and I don't specify anything else, they're the 2 strains you're looking for. So I hope that helps. Okay. Here's a pronunciation I don't know if I'll get. Phil says, have you ever tried Oskipek? They're little. There's a little wooden mold, and they look like a little, look like a football, I think, with the ends tapered. I have seen them. I haven't tried them. They're from Poland, I think, around those areas, and they've got a little pattern in them, and I think then they're smoked. I'm not quite sure how the cheese is made, but no, I haven't tried them. I haven't seen them here in Australia. Kevin has a question and says, hey, Gav, just got my hands on some 5% Jersey milk, non-homogenized. What's the best cheese to make with such a high-fat milk? I would say I would try Gouda or Gouda. Great high-fat milk. Edam is another one. Oh, those 2 alone. Oh, Havarti, another good one. They like a nice high fat content. And what else? Cheddar, not so much. Cheddar's mainly made with milk from Holstein or Friesian cows. But yeah, so some of those ones, and definitely fresh cheese. Any fresh cheese would be perfect with Jersey milk. And yeah, it's pretty good stuff. So yeah, try those. Mercia says, I recently took a cheese making class and they said you can shred cheese from the store you like to use to inoculate your milk instead of typical bacteria. Is that something that works well? I don't know where you got that advice from because it doesn't work. Cheese from the store, per se, has already been matured. And most of the bacteria, the lactic bacteria within it, is dead. They die and convert to enzymes and help mature the cheese, break down the proteins and the fats. So there's no acidification. So if you try and say shred a cheddar, for instance, put that in a bit of milk, make it go pulpy and put it into your milk, you're not going to get any active live bacteria added into your milk. It doesn't work that way. What you can do, though, is cultured buttermilk, if you can buy that in the store. Usually that has an aromatic mesophilic culture in it and it's still live. And that works. I've used that before. Also, live yogurt. So any yogurt that's been set in the pot will have live cultures within them, and they can be used as a thermophilic culture. So there's some real advice for you. Anyway, what's this? Use? I can't even say it. Where are you from? I'm from Victoria in Australia. Specifically a town or a city called Melton, which is on the west side of Melbourne, which is the second largest city in Australia. Ms. Spinner says, hello, Gavin. Hope you're doing well. I feel okay, yeah. How precise do you need to be with weight and timing when pressing? Look, as long as you can get the rind to close and do it gently, that's why I do, different stages of pressing. So a light pressing for 30 minutes, a little bit heavier for an hour, and then really heavy for, like overnight or more time, you'll see. Look, I've known if I've pulled it out, pulled it out, that's a bit rude. If I take the cheese out of the basket and I find that the rind hasn't completely closed properly, I'll flip it, put it at the same pressure and leave it for another at least 6 hours. Have a look. So pressing time, you can extend it if the rind's not fully closed. If you can't get it to close totally, then air dry it, vacuum pack it, put in the fridge, forget about it until it's ready. But yeah, so as far as precise, no, they don't have to be precise. But give or take, 10, 15 minutes in the early stages, because that's crucial for making the curds knit together. Okay. Pressing weights, as far as, they need to be, as long as your rind's closed. So, yeah. Charlie says, Gavin, if I'm not mistaken, lipase is present in cow's milk, but is killed off in pasteurizations. Should it be added to all cheeses? Not in the concentrations that we get in the powdered form, Charlie. Yes, you're right, but raw cow's milk has very minimal lipase, unlike sheep's milk and goat's milk. It's got a lot in it, the enzyme, that is. However, in cow's milk, it's not that prevalent, and it is killed off during pasteurization. However, because we get that really concentrated form of calf or kid lipase, kid being stronger than calf, if you add it into your cheese, you'll get that piquant flavor that really, some people call it smells like vomit. I suppose it might if you add too much lipase, but you would have to add like 1/64 of a teaspoon, even less than that, just to add back, what's been lost during pasteurization. Give it a go, but all your cheeses may start smelling like feta and parmesan. So, I don't know if I'd add it in. I certainly haven't, Charlie, and, the cheeses turn out fine, as you know. Hakeem says, hello from Algeria. Hello, Hakeem. How are you? And Zarbink says, I'm lactose intolerant, but still love watching you make cheese. Thank you very much. Now, there are some recipes for lactose-free cheeses that I've made. Kim, if you can pop up the link for Zarbinks for the lactose-free quick mozzarella that I made with Amy, my daughter. And there is another cheese. I made a kefili-style cheese, which is a quick aging cheese. And that it's a lactose-free kefili, or lactose-free cheese, I think I called it. So, Kim, if you could put the link to both of those up for Zarbinks, that would be fantastic. Okay. This one's from Liana, says, I lost signal for a second. I can listen later, but did you answer my mozzarella question? Yes, I did. Another question from Liana says, do whole milk ricotta and whey ricotta taste the same? Will both work for lasagna? Yes, they will. And yes, they kind of taste the same. Okay. This one's from Monkey Monk, says, I'm wanting to develop as mild a cheddar as possible. Okay, so cheddar and mild don't really go together. A mild cheddar is aged for about 3 months. There you go. So make a normal cheddar, age it for 3 months. It should be fairly mild. If you want a cheddar style or something that looks like cheddar and that is very mild, then the best cheese to make is Colby. So make Colby. It's a very mild form of cheddar. And the difference is that the curds are actually washed in water, and it reduces the food or the lactose available for the lactic acid that you've introduced into the cheese, into the milk, to acidify it. So it'll be a lot milder when it's mature. So make Colby. Don't make a mild cheddar. Cheddar's supposed to be strong. Kevin says, do you know how made by cow milk is produced? Yeah, they put it under pressure. So it's very similar. I can't remember the name of the process, but if you go on their website, Kevin, you can see they've got pictures of how they process the milk in under high pressure. So very similar to the treatment they do for fruit juices these days. Very similar. They put it under intense pressure in a barometric chamber, something like that, and apply a lot of pressure to the milk while it's in its bottles. They put it in a big tube, and apparently it kills all bacteria, and you've still got raw milk. So yeah, go on their website. They've got a lot more explanation than I just made. Okay. Neela says, what cheese would you suggest a younger cheese lover try as their first attempt making cheese? My 11-year-old is curious. For a young'un to make. Okay, you want something that's going to be successful. If you want to make a decent cheese, then I would try Caerphilly. It's got quite a mild flavour, a little bit salty, but it's a really good cheese for a beginner to make anyway. There is a slight cheddaring process, but if they make Caerphilly, they're going to learn all of the steps that you make, that you can make many, many cheeses with. So there's quite a few videos on Caerphilly. Kim, can you put a link up to Caerphilly, please, darling, the proper one? The most recent Caerphilly that I've made, I think. Hopefully that'll help. This one's from Fight the Evil Robots. Says, I can't have rennet. What exactly is microbial rennet or vegetarian rennet? Well, rennet comes in many forms. Obviously, there's animal rennet, which some people can't eat. That's fine. I don't. In the fermented Cheeseman rennet, it's a... what is it? It's a rennet that's been inoculated by... Sorry, they use rennet enzyme and they genetically engineer it. This is the fermented Cheeseman rennet. I think that says which is one of them. And then so they genetically modify it and make more Cheeseman, which is the active enzyme in rennet, replicate that thousands of times, and there you go, you've got rennet. The other one is I think the other one is made with a fungi. I can't remember the name of the fungi, but the fungi is then replicated and creates Cheeseman as well. And Cheeseman, as I said, is the active enzyme. So there's two types. There are many others. Fig sap is another one that they use. The sap from the cardoon thistle is another form of coagulating agent. So they're all vegetarian rennets, and we sell them on our a couple of them on our website. Okay, so it's time for the gallery. I'll just put a little marker there where I'm up to. We'll get rid of that. Okay, so let's dig out the gallery and let's share the screen. Share. Window. Here we go. And we're going to do it that way. All righty, so first cab off the rank, and I think he's watching today, is Bill Nelson, and I love Bill's hat. That is absolutely fantastic. So Bill has made some Jarlsberg there. Let me just, do I have a note from Bill? No, I don't. So he's made some Jarlsberg there. He said it tastes absolutely fantastic. That's Bill in his cheese hat. Very cool. And there's his Jarlsberg there, a little bit more close up. So absolutely fantastic eye development. It looks fantastic. It really does. Well done, Bill. And this is a this is a white Stilton with cranberries and pecan, or pecan as we say it here in Australia. And he says that even though it's not as sweet as he thought it would be either, very similar to my white Stilton taste test, he has he sprinkles a little bit of sweetener over the cheese before he consumes it, and he says that absorbs the sweetener and no problems at all, and it tastes sweet if he wants it to be. Okay. This one's from Patricia. Thank you, Patricia, for sending in your photo. This is a picture of a Roquefort made with sheep's milk. I've got a little description here somewhere. Where is Patricia's note? It says, "Hi, Gavin. My Roquefort is made from pasteurized sheep's milk. It has aged 6 weeks in the cheese cave and is ready to be wrapped in perforated cheese foil and moved to the kitchen fridge. I thought the sheep's milk would result in an overly creamy cheese, but this was not the case. The texture is smooth, but not mushy, and it tastes perfect. True Roquefort flavor. All the best, Patricia." Thank you, Patricia. That's a fantastic looking photo. I think that might be worthy of a thumbnail. But yeah, fantastic. Well done, mate. Okay, so the next one is from Rex, and I don't know if Rex is watching or listening. Rex has sent me in heaps of pictures. So this first one is his Blue de Buffalo, blue buffalo milk cheese. They've been aging for a month, and they are just starting to become soft, indicating the paste on the inside is ripening. I'll be wrapping these in micro perforated paper anytime now. So they look fantastic. Buffalo milk will be very, very rich. Excuse me. Okay, this is a picture of Rex's cheese fridge. So this is all the cheeses he's got stacked in a little bar fridge. Looks like it's doing very well. Next picture is, this is Rex's Forme d'Ambert, and he says, sorry about that. Just had a bit of a coughing fit. I'll get better. This is Rex's Forme d'Ambert, and he says, if I can find it, where's the notes gone? I'll let the blue mold bloom more before starting to brush it down. The second picture is after a month, and hopefully nice pockets of greenish blue in there. There's another picture. There it is, washed down. So that's his Forme d'Ambert. So that's absolutely fantastic. And the last picture from Rex is a Jarlsberg, which he vac packed just for room temperature ripening phase, and we'll let it form a slight rind before waxing. Got a vacuum little way seepage, but it's starting to expand and give off CO2, which should eliminate any further seepage due to low pressure inside the packaging. There's a Limburger. Here's my Limburgers, and they are getting really stinky after a month. They are starting to bloom red and also have some Cheeseman growth, which I'll let bloom for a while. I've made 2 round and 2 square. So that's the first picture of his Limburger. It looks absolutely fantastic. I love a good stinky Limburger. But yeah, as I mentioned before, somebody asked me about the Brevibacterial linens. The addition of, as I said, geotrichum helps the bloom. And then, okay, thank you, Rex. Lovely photos. The next one is from Robert, and Robert has sent in, what have we got here? We've got 2 cheeses. This one's a recipe he's used from New England cheesemaking supplies called Canestrato. I think that's how you say it. It is a unique. It has a unique step. After pressing, you put the cheese back into warm whey for 2 days. It smells wonderful. I can't wait to try it. So that looks lovely. And then the next cheese he's got, this is his Edam that is actually on the thumbnail of today's show. And this is what it looks like inside. He said he was a little bit worried about cutting into the 2-week-old cheese, but this cheese has destined to become my Halloween melty American cheese. I'm going to add ash to the cheese when they are melted and make black cheese. Maybe I'll make it more runny and have black nachos. He thinks next time he's got his Edam mold, which is like a cannonball mold. Says there's a few mechanical holes. Doesn't look too bad there, mate. And said instead of flipping the cheese 180 degrees in the mold, next time I'll try flipping it 150 to keep it more round shape instead of a bullet shape. Very cool. Thank you very much, Robert. They look fantastic. And this is Robert's last cheese, which is a habanero jack that he rubbed with chipotle and sriracha paste and then cloth bound. And then it's made for my brother-in-law. He loves hot foods. I'm trying to make one above his threshold. You must really love him. I will also love to have it on a cheeseburger. That'd be cool. Well done, Robert. Thank you very much for your Ask the Cheeseman pictures and everybody else who sent them in. If you want to send some in, I'll just quickly show you how we go to. Here we are. So this is me not logged in. This is the YouTube channel. And you go to the About tab just here. Hopefully you can see my little mouse pointer. There it is. And we go to the About tab. And we go down here to Details. And it says Sign in to see email address. If you already sign in, there'll be a little thing to click and a captcha. And you can send me an email. Send me your pictures there, please. That would be fantastic. That's the only email address that I check for cheese pictures. Okay, all back. Alrighty. So next question is from Liana. Liana says, after pressing a cheddar, can I cut it in half immediately and age separately so I can try at different months? It's not why it is different than something the size of a, if not, maybe that's what she's meant to say. If not, why is it different than something the size of a baby bell? Baby bells take about 2 weeks to mature because they're a lot smaller. Yes, you can cut your cheese in half and vacuum pack it and store it and age it longer. That's what I do. That's for sure. So yeah, absolutely fantastic. And I've got a little notice there on YouTube. I'm not sure what's going on. Jim, it's come up in YouTube and says Jim Jackson's been a member for 22 months. So well done, mate. Congratulations. There's lots of people who have been members there for a while, but it just seemed to have popped up in the chat for YouTube. So don't know what's going on there, but yeah, very interesting. Okay. Back up to the questions again so I don't lose my place. Sorry, I love losing my place, obviously. Okay, yeah, so we did that one. Right, so the next one is from Heidi. Heidi says, I'm impressed, Chiba, that you made mozzarella as a newbie. Mozzarella is my kryptonite. Gavin's Bel Paese is the solution in our house. It works perfect with my raw goat's milk. Well done, Heidi. Okay. This is Chiba says, yeah, I made it successfully my first time. Next 3 times, it didn't work out so well. Yeah, it seems to be a lot of people get it right the first time and then, have a bit of a problem. There's another super chat going on there. Thank you so much for that. We'll get to that in a second. I'll just answer this question from Murad. Says, we have 2 cows and very good raw milk for the past year. I made a hard cheese that was not the best cheese. Sorry. I made a hard cheese that was the best cheese I've ever tasted 2 years ago. And I've been following you. I learned a lot. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mira. Yeah, using raw milk for cheese, you will get an amazing cheese. So, okay. Right, we'll get to that super chat now. Where is that? Why did that not go to the bottom? Right, here we go. This is from Patricia. Thank you, Patricia, for your $5 Canadian. It says, what is the best solution for ridding a bar fridge cheese cave of blue mold? Soapy water, vinegar, baking soda, or something else? I tend to use vinegar, and that usually gets rid of it for a few months, that's for sure. If you start seeing it on the walls of the cheese fridge, of course. So I wipe it down with just straight vinegar and a cloth. Pull everything out, every single thing, the racks, the whole lot. Anything where you think the blue mold can live, then yeah, get it all out and do it with vinegar. You can use a weak bleach solution. So to 2 liters of water, add 20 mils of just normal bleach. Yeah, that'll work as well. That'll kill any bacteria and mold. And you don't need to wipe it down or anything. It should just evaporate. It'll smell a bit, but yeah, you certainly won't have any issues with blue mold for a while in there. So yeah, vinegar and if you want to, weak bleach solution, but don't add the vinegar to the bleach because it creates chlorine gas, which we all know from World War I days, not that we were there, but it creates chlorine gas and it's very harmful. But thank you so much for your super chat, Patricia. Okay. Getting back to the questions, of course. Here's a good one from Will It Grow. Gavin Weber, why do my curds always stick to my cheesecloth? Good question. Cheesecloth, if it's not moist, if you haven't boiled it and just what I do, I boil it with all my equipment when I'm doing my pre-session of cheese making, and then just leave it in a lump in the colander, and it stays moist. So when I get to use it in the cheese basket, it's moist and it doesn't stick to the curds at all. I've never had that issue unless I'm making a high temperature cheese like Parmesan or Romano or anything like that, Alpine cheeses, anything cooked to over 48 degrees Celsius. I find that because the curds are hot, they may sometimes stick to the cloth. So what I do then is I spray the cheesecloth with white vinegar, just with my squirty bottle, and that stops it from sticking. A lot of people have had success with disposable cheesecloths. It's a blue plastic cloth, and you can use it once and then throw it away, and that it doesn't tend to stick to the cheese as well. So there's a couple of tips for Will It Grow. Annette says, quite a while ago you made a cloth banded cheddar. Can I wax it instead? Yes, you can, Annette. You can. The cloth banding was basically an experiment. I wanted to see if I could make a traditional West Country farmhouse cheddar, which they use cloth, and I should have used lard, not coconut oil, because the coconut oil got infected with mold and that got into the cheese and not so good. But lard doesn't tend to attract mold like coconut oil does. Anyway, so yeah, it was an experiment. Yes, you can certainly wax or even vacuum pack cheddar. They do that in big commercial operations. They just simply vac pack the whole block of cheese, and it matures in the plastic. Okay. Robert says, I had to change back to baby animals today because my baby wasn't having the Cheeseman channel today. Okay. I'll have to watch it at the beginning of the replay. Okay, mate, no probs. Question from this is from Camp Creek Hill. I have access to plenty of raw milk. Can most cheeses be made from raw milk, or is pasteurized necessary for some? It's up to you. You know, they were making raw milk cheese for eons before pasteurization came along. That's not to say that some bad bacteria can get into raw milk if it's left too long after milking. So with raw milk, it's best to use it straight away for cheese making. Or you can use pasteurization, use the low temperature long hold. So Kim, if you can pop up the Well, I suppose it is a lesson. The video for home pasteurization, that'll help out Creek Hill. But in Australia, and we're a bit different than everybody else, there is some food standards that state that you can make cheese. This is for commercial cheesemakers or artisan cheesemakers. You can make cheese from raw milk if the curds are cooked, I think it's above 50 degrees Celsius or 48 or 50 degrees Celsius. It is matured at 10 degrees Celsius when it's matured, and it has to be aged for at least 60 days. And they deem that as being safe to use raw milk. And yeah, the flavors are very complex. There's a couple of cheesemakers down in Tasmania in Australia, one being a Brunei Island cheesemaking company, and they make a raw milk cheese called C2, and apparently it is amazing flavor. Anyway, Dr. Casero is on the line. Great, mate. How are you, Dietrich? Hi, Gavin. It's been a long time. We have to have another show together, or maybe making a webinar together. Very cool. Thanks, mate. There's another super chat. Thank you so much. That's from Heidi. Thank you, Heidi. $10 US, just because I'm an overexcited fan to actually make it to a live chat. Thank you very much, Heidi, for your kind super chat. Appreciate it. All right, so we've got what's that, 13 minutes tops before we chop over to the Sal Giorgi video, which will be a premiere. So very good. There's a good little tip here. This is from Petra. Well, Petra says Cheeseman, Greek chimos, which means juice. Well, there you go. Very good. Robert says, how do I get large cracks in my blue cheeses for mold growth to grow in? I recently saw a pic of a Jersey blue and thought, and how do that? How they do that? Okay, so there is a yeast you can buy. We don't stock it. That creates gas within, or cracks with the fissures within the cheese. However, with most blue cheeses, what I find is that the drier the curds, or not so dry, when you're before you're putting the blue cheese curds into the basket, they've got to be not really sloppy moist like, I say, a camembert. They've got to be a little bit drier. That's why you'll see in most blue cheese making recipes, there's always a stirring phase, and the curds shrink a little bit. And that way, when they do form together, there's gaps within the cheese curd when it's pressing under its own weight. And that way, when you do pierce it, you will find that those pockets of air get exposed to the oxygen, and when you pierce it, and that's how you get your blue veining throughout. Some of the best examples I've seen, certainly with my cheeses, are the Shropshire Blue, and that, because it was really, the curds were really dry, and I don't recommend you go as dry as those ones, but the blue mold just grew prolifically all over and inside, and the veining was beautiful to look at. The cheese was very strong, mind you, but it was beautiful to look at. So that's some of how they do that. So there is a yeast that you can buy. I can't remember the name of the yeast off the top of my head. I'll have to go and do a quick googly search. But that you can add, and that adds structure to the cheese. But yeah, don't do it all the time. All righty. Patricia says, awesome lid, Bill. I think you're talking about the hat that was on Bill's head. Very cool. Liana says, I added annatto to the milk for Colby. When done, it was still white. Is it safe to keep adding until I get the desired color, or does the color develop over time? Yeah, so with adding annatto, I tend to add a little bit more than what the original recipe recommends. So in my recipes, they will be a little bit stronger. With Colby, if the cheese is still white then you might, I don't know what type of milk you use, Liana. If you used cow's milk, it should have gone a little bit yellow, depending on what the cows ate. If they ate grass and it was summertime or springtime, then yeah, no problems. Should be fine. What else? Yeah, so goat's milk and sheep's milk don't have beta carotene or as much beta carotene in them, which gives cheese its yellow color. So yeah, add a little bit more annatto to the milk if you think before adding the rennet. So this is all before adding the rennet. If you don't think the milk color is strong enough, then yeah, add a little bit more annatto in some diluted water. Add it to your milk until you get the desired color. It doesn't get really darker with age. So if you look at, say, for example, some of the strongest colors that I've made in cheese, we're in the Shropshire blue. And you'll see that the milk is nearly orange before I started to add the rennet. Hope that helps. Okay. Graham says, hi, Gavin, great channel. Been very helpful. Thanks. You did add a Stilton with apricots. Can you add sugar to the Stilton while still making it? Personally, I wouldn't, Graham, because sugar has a tendency to ferment and create alcohol and makes off flavors in your cheese. I've still got some that I've got to mill this weekend, and basically, so after the cheese is mature, you can add sugar to it, powdered sugar, and then repress it, and then it's ready to eat straight away. So that's the best way to do it. Okay. Kevin says, Gavin, I lost my little chihuahua on Wednesday after 15 years, 8 months. Oh, mate, you must be feeling pretty bad. I know I did when I lost Holly and Teddy, but my condolences to you, Kevin. I've made my version of queso chihuahua in her memory called Chi Woof Woof cheese. Well done, mate. Anything to remember the little fellas by, that's for sure. But again, Kevin, my condolences. Wendy says, a great cheese gallery today. I am always in awe of the really lovely cheeses you produce. Yes, I am. All the people that send in their photos, it's just fantastic. Thank you so much. Okay, so we've got 8 minutes left until we chop over. Who's this from? This from Erlene. Says, I have dairy goats and have learned to use about a quarter of the culture for my cheese to turn out. Do I have to use culture? My goat's milk is raw milk. It depends on the cheese you're making, Erlene. You're right. You use a lot less culture if you're using raw milk directly. And depending on the type of cheese. Now, if you're going to make, say, a hard cheese, so like Romano, but use goat's milk, for instance, you would definitely have to add in some thermophilic culture to it. You couldn't just use the milk without culture, because most of the lactic bacteria that are native in milk, in raw milk, doesn't have Streptococcus thermophilus as one of the cultures in it. Depends on the environment you're in, or the terroir, as they say in French. So I would certainly add it, but yeah, at a reduced rate like you have been. So yeah, well done. Great tip. We did Patricia, and that is telling me that it's time to wrap up the show and go over to the next video, but we'll just do one more question, and we've got another super chat. I'll just turn the light off. One last question says, hi, Gavin, I have an induction cook and find it hard to control slow temperature rise of the milk. Any advice on the best way to control low temperature heating? Yeah, use a pot on a pot. So very similar. There's Kim's not there to do the link. Oh, here's Hamish. Hello, Hamish. Yes, hello. He wants to say hello. Hello. Hello, my little bubba. Anyway, here's Hamish. He's very happy. Look at the camera. He's over there. Over there, Hamish. Yeah, just there. Look there. Oh, goodness me. There he is. Oh, off you go. All righty. So thank you, everybody. If you want to support us, Kim's put the link to the Patreon link there, but there's YouTube memberships down below. Let me get down to there was a super chat there I've missed. It's from Liana. Thank you, Liana, for your $5 super chat. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. It's just fun. I enjoy doing it. It's just one of those little services, I think, that the cheese making community have needed it for a while, where you can, talk to somebody who, hopefully answers your questions. So, yeah, hopefully in quotes. Anyway, Jim says, thanks. I thought the message that I had been with the 22-month announcement would have been seen and read by Gav, live and learn. It did come up, Jim. I'm not sure what's going on. I couldn't do it on, I couldn't put the little message up on Restream, which is the software I'm using. It didn't come across from YouTube. So there you go. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate your membership, mate. I really do. Let's go. And Kim's put up a few links to the Patreon and to the merch link. Anyway, we'll call it quits for now. You probably will get sent over, if you're on YouTube, over to the Sal Giorgi video. I'll be there in the chat telling you all of the mistakes that I made, or available for any questions during that video. So thanks for watching. Without your questions, it wouldn't have been a show, of course. And thank you to all the people that sent in photos. You know how to send me one now, and I'll check that. Anyway, thanks for watching, Curd Nerds, and I'll see you next time.